Today we're going to talk about evaluating the effectiveness of two arguments by Gerald Canardio, Melissa Alvarez, Robert Flores, and Elias Pierce. Here's the introduction to the rubric, Section 1, Part B. This includes the two sources provided, the weight of 35% and the suggested time, which is most likely 60 minutes. The students are asked to evaluate the effectiveness of two arguments on a similar question, problem, or issue. Each of the sources should present an alternate, divergent, or contradictory perspectives. Here, as you can see, there's the AP rubric. The rubric consists of 3 parts. As you can see, there's the analyzing and evaluating evidence, which is equal to 6 points. Then there is the understanding and analyzing. And then the third part is understanding and analyzing the argument as well, for 6 points each. And so you have to make sure that the response is analyzed well with the various pieces of evidence from all the articles included with credibility and relevance. And then there is the response that you always have to identify and provide a reasonable analysis and evaluation of the implications or limitations of the two arguments. And also always try to remember to explain and compare the author's lines of reasoning and evaluating the weaknesses of the author's strengths and the author's arguments. And here's the additional scores. In addition to the scores, there's the represented in the rubrics for the readers. You can see that there is 0 and no response. No response can be included as an R. So the score for the 0 is assigned to a row of the rubric when the response displays a below minimum level of equality. The scores of 0 are assigned to all rows of the rubric when the response is off topic and obviously misleading to the argument and the repetition of a prompt. So you obviously have to emphasize not making a mistake into making a remark of repetition or anything else like that. And then the no response is a score that is assigned to the responses that are blank. So analyzing and evaluating the evidence. Our goal is to get a 6, so in order to receive a 6, the response must successfully analyze various pieces of the evidence from both articles in terms of their relevance and credibility. So you should always use the reliable sources when researching for a solution to your research question or thesis. And obviously make sure that the evidence supports the thesis. And then you should always tie your analysis back to your research question or thesis. So the next part of the rubric is the understanding and analyzing argument 1. So in order to receive a 6, the response must explain, analyze, and compare the author's lines of reasoning and their validity by evaluating weaknesses and strengths in the author's arguments. You should always make sure to connect your analysis to your evidence and your main ideas to strengthen your argument. Therefore, you should always read through the author's argument, identifying what is valid, credible, and reasonable. Therefore, identifying the strength in the argument as well as the weakness in order to counter it, making the argument stronger. So the last part of the rubric is the understanding and analyzing argument 2. To receive the 6, the response must identify and provide a reasonable analysis and evaluation of the implications or limitations of the two arguments. Therefore, you always have to introduce a counter-argument and explain why it's incorrect to strengthen your argument. Always make sure to thoroughly explain why the counter-argument is invalid, or else the validity of your argument will diminish. And then you can make your essay stronger by stating the limitations of the two arguments.